Hey everybody, it's Mark, Dr. Deadwax, and welcome back to the Deadwax Skunk Works. When last we spoke, I had started on my first model in 30 years and then had completed the cockpit, which is almost invisible inside the jet. But I'd set this goal, this incredibly unrealistic goal of building my first model in 30 years in 2 weeks for the contest, the Big Spring contest over at Scale Model Addict. And when the deadline approached, I was not able to make the deadline. But I kept working on it, and then a couple days after the deadline passed, and I was going through the forums there, I noticed Grendel's, Bad Grendel's, John, he had made a post saying, thank God Scott extended the deadline. And I had no idea, but I read around a bit more, and I found out that Scott was moving office and had extended the deadline of the contest by 1 week. Um, and it wasn't really posted kind of out on its own anywhere. It was just kind of buried, but I did find it, and that's awesome. And I'd still been working on it a little, so I thought, I got an extra 5 days here. Maybe I can finish it, and I just kind of kept cramming away at it, and at the very last minute, the very last night, like a student cramming, doing things at the last minute, I was able to finish it. And I had to submit like the worst pictures ever in my bathroom that were taken at night because it's the brightest room in my house. I wasn't able to get outside or anything because, I mean, the decals were still wet when I was taking the pictures. But so this is my Saab, Heller Saab J29 Tunnan 1/72nd scale jet. And it's the first thing I've built in 30 years. And you can see the cockpit there, how it shows up inside the plane. And you can see the joystick there in red. And the seat. And so you can see the masking job turned out pretty good on the canopy. I mean, it's not professional grade, but for the first one I've done in 30 years, it turned out pretty well. I had to polish the canopy because it had a huge scratch in it. So I had to like sand it and polish it and then buff it and then dipped it in clear, and I got the decals on, and I think they turned out really well. Back here, the H, I should have cut the carrier film out between the parts of the parts of the H. You can see that there, but I was a little rushed, but I got it pretty good for the first one I'd done. I'm pretty happy with the wheels. It's not what the kit called for, but when looking up examples online, I saw that this is kind of how they were done with the green rims. And the wheelbase are flat black. That's how they're done in some real examples I could find. I did the landing gear diamond dust as opposed to the buffable aluminum. I think the paint turns out really well. I mean, it's just a rattle can testers buffable metallizer aluminum plate that's buffable, but it worked out quite well. I did the nose yellow. I had to tape it, and then when I took the tape off, taping wasn't easy, but when I took the tape off, there was a bit of a raised wrist, so I sanded it down and got a little silver, but I touched it up a bit more. There's no weathering or anything on it like that. I think somebody I showed it to described it as factory fresh, and yeah, I guess it's factory fresh. But there's some seam work that's a little questionable, but I've never filled a gap. It was more really crappy putties that are out there. The Squadron putty is just completely unworkable. I mean, you take it out of the tube and you 15 seconds later when you brush it on something, it goes grainy almost instantly. I've never seen anything with a shorter open time in my life. Then I bought the Mr. Putty, and that was okay, except it's got, you know, you touch it and it just pulls this string that's like 70 miles long. It's like the old glue. But somebody, I joined the model club and I was showing it to them, somebody there, and they said to try Mr. Surfacer. But unfortunately, I can't find any Mr. Surfacer because Mr. Surfacer is no longer available in North America. Some sort of health and safety thing, but so I finished on time, took some really bad photos, and then for the past 4 or 5 days, I've been just repeatedly applying micro sol to try and get the decals to sit down, because I use the original decals from the kit. A friend of mine had sent me some, but ultimately this didn't turn out well enough to use those on. So I have another one of these that I'm going to use, the modern fancy decals. I'm going to do that kit in a little while after I get an airbrush, whenever I can get some money together for that and have upped my skill set a little. So that's it. I'm pretty happy with it. I never had anything turn out that well when I was a kid, and getting those decals to sync. Then I'll put some clear on it when I'm happy with them. They're not going to be perfect, but I can get them a little thinner. And put a coat of clear on it, and then I can do a little weathering. But for the contest purposes, it was completed on time, and that was awesome. And if I hadn't had the extra week, I wouldn't have met that goal. But I think to turn out something like that in 3 weeks for the first time in 30 years, hey, it's got some potential. So when I'm going to build, I have some other 1/72 plane kits that come in silver, so I'm going to build a couple more of those, and after I weather this one a little, just to got to start somewhere, so I might as well start with this one, then build some more silver ones, because I think the buffable aluminum plate metallizer, it turns out pretty well considering I don't have an airbrush. So, and I don't really want to brush on camel schemes because you can brush it. I don't know, my brush paint skills are kind of obvious. You can see where I brush painted on that. So going to do some of those, and then I'll revisit the other. I have another copy of this later, and I'll use the decals I got from my friend on that, and hopefully by then I'll have some scribing skills and be able to take out all the raised panel lines and have my seam filling skills down, and work a bit more on my fine detail painting. But hey, anyway, that's the update on the Tunnan. I'll put some pictures in. I'll just do like a follow-up video with some nice pictures from outside when I have actually totally finished it and I've cleared it and weathered it and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.